Yeah. Oh, really? Yeah, it's all over the place, huh? Yeah, one of those crazy. Yeah. Wow. It's water. Oh, it's water cooled? Oh, so it'll, that's good. Yeah, you go. I didn't know this one was on the chili. Yeah. So you're not gonna please that, so, all right. Thanks, man. No. Thank you. Sorry. You're probably gonna. Yeah, your loop is pretty. It's almost, no, you're down to 53 on it. Are we? Oh, nice. So it should be, it's gonna start coming down. Thank you, so I'll have him lock. Thanks, good. See you later. Guy over in that business. Provide. More on the name. You should see that. Wish I would just put it down. Appreciate the service. Long time.
Step into balance. Thank you everyone for your patience, incredibly grateful for your time, and I'm incredibly grateful to CCSD staff who helped. Incredibly grateful to CCSD staff who helped support the transition to getting us electricity for communication and ensure that we had air conditioning up and technology to communicate with the power company very quickly. We're ready to go. So very, very grateful to have this collaboration and support. We did cut off Shelley. So we're going to give you your full 3 minutes back. I want to officially note for the record that we held this regular board meeting Thursday, June 27th, back to order at 7:16. Shelley, please take this very public comment.
Good evening. My name is Shelley Von Carson, and as I said before, like the gentleman before me, I was before this board 27 years ago with my father, John W. Von, had a school named after him. I come to you tonight with a native first name. I have lived here my entire life. My parents bought us a small cabin in Old Town in the late 1960s for weekend gigs, summer gigs, holiday celebrations. Anytime you could get up to the mountain, you went to the mountain. If a child played on the great playground at Lundy Elementary School, and today I still have lifelong friends that I met on that playground this summertime. My husband and I recently bought a home in Mount Charleston, and our plan is for our preschool-age granddaughter who lives with us to attend by the other. That was our plan. That is our dream. This decision tonight is to spray that. And like so many residents here tonight, we need to be able to help establish that dream. The Mount Charleston community is a small mountain town. This community is bound together in places where we can gather, where we can meet, where we can learn, where our children and our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren can grow, and eat, and learn. Your actions tonight can help preserve a small town. On the other hand, shutting down Lundy Elementary, the central and important part of our Mount Charleston community, will take away a key thread that binds us together. How dreadful it would be for the Park County School District, the very entity through which our children are educated to become contributing members of society, to be the cause of literally pulling out the key cornerstone of our community. The school plays that role in a small community. You all know that. The school district has not been forthcoming with facts and figures about the extent, damages, and the necessary refurbishments cost for Lundy. Why is that? Why is the board so afraid of transparency? The late spring announcement that Lundy may be closed felt like a surprise to cap on. Why? Forcing small children to ride a school bus for multiple hours round trip to Indian Springs is imposed and will impose physical, mental, and emotional and other stresses upon our children. Why did you cause that to happen? The residents of this community really not represented by this board. As you know, our trustee has been able. She has not participated. She has not been available. She has not fulfilled the job for which she was elected. Literally, our community is faced tonight with the denial of our due process rights, the constitutional right, a voice, a chance. I don't attribute any personal malice to anyone. I simply don't know the facts, and I don't know why you have not been transparent. I don't know why the board wants to close Lundy now without providing information to the people as impacted. I don't know what the extent of the damages are. Thank you very much.
You're welcome to submit your rest of your remarks in writing. Fine, thank you. Thank you, Madam President, for the board and for the superintendent. I'm coming forward today with a letter from Senator Pete Kiyoshe. Yes. Earlier, okay. But I'm just gonna kind of not read the entire thing because it's just what the community members have really expressed to you tonight. But there's one sentence in here that I've been repeating over and over in this room tonight, which is that this is not the Nevada way. The Nevada way is to take on the challenge and identifying solutions to complex problems and working together to overcome hurdles to support all of that. So he also is urging the board to reject this proposed action, permanently close funding, and instead hold productive and robust discussions with the stakeholders, including the community members impacted by these decisions and state and local leaders to identify alternative options. Is possible over so I can go to the record. I also want to know that I did sign up for 3.01 and 3.02. So we don't have to restart that, but if you guys will remember a couple of years ago with ASAC, we brought forward a recommendation to leave the family out in the Slow Canyon area of legal rezoning. The committee had come forward and asked this board to keep the rezone line just east of their property to allow this compound family to stay forever zoned in this for meantime. And CCSD did a staff override on that and encumbered this family, the only family living in the middle of nowhere, and rezoned them to force their children to go to school within the valley instead of leaving them forever etched in their needs schools. And so as the events of the money has unfolded, for those that were there, I came back in the public comment after the board made that decision and very upset because the ASAC committee did a lot of work reaching out and working with that family and those families in District B to do what was right for them. And the system chose not to do what was right for them. And so here we are 2 years later, making another decision that's going to impact the quality and value of lives that these families will tell you they have chosen for their families. And it's not just about a school, it's just about a lighthouse. This is about all these kids here tonight. Their laughter, their chuckles, their parents. I told them, don't be quiet. We're here for them. Because if we're not here for them, who will be there for? Right? And so everything I heard before me said we need to keep the school open, no matter what anything's seen. And especially when we turn on the news and we can pay $10 million to a stud student to be, a settlement for being abused. $8 million on another student, we can pay out almost $20 million on abuse cases, but we can't put forward the money to just keep these school open and keep providing this community the space that they will rely upon for generations to come. It's a good investment. And it's not just a rule, it's what we facilities for our community. These communities don't exist in our modern world anymore, but they exist right on our mountain. And I know almost everyone here enjoys that mountain as much as the residents do. And that's why we love it. And we have to keep providing for them what they are used to so we can continue to raise their families in that environment where they can rely upon having, their parties and their barbecues and see parties. One other thing I want to point out is during that ASAC meeting, I highly, not that particular meeting, but in doing that rezoning, I highly had issues with putting a bus on that highway. And I've said it in public record over the years, we call that highway the Widowmaker for a reason. And 3 weeks ago, my husband's right-hand lieutenant got hit head-on by a drunk driver going into work at the prison on that very same road that you want to bus these little children to school on. It's just ridiculous. So I'm going to reiterate that. That is called that highway for a reason. And we don't need to be burying children because we can't keep the school open either. And most of the older kids I deal with, I kind of assume that someone can drive. So they provide transportation for their younger siblings that are coming down either they were the closer choice or whatever they chose. But when we hear over and over again about the little kids being on a bus for an hour and a half to school. You guys have heard me over the years. I live 7 minutes from my own elementary school. And my special needs son
sits on a bus for over an hour each way to school in the valley on a stud bus where there's only 5 students and you can't figure out why it takes an hour to get something down the road. So anyway, yeah. Tell me, I forgive me, I noticed that you also had an extra item, please come on up. Last year. From once. I don't know why the board wants to close levy now without providing information to the very people most impacted. I don't know what the extent of damages are, costs of repairs the levy are, and I certainly have not had the opportunity to review a legitimate cost estimate. I don't know what funds are available for this project, but I do know that any such cost would be a tiny fraction, barely a rounding error on the part of the budget. I do not understand why this board wants to rush and put a knife into the heart of this community. Why force this unfair, not transparent decision on the people of our community who simply want to be people, not a community where their children and grandchildren can attend a special school, one that has been there for a long time, when so many of us make decisions to move there. Why? I urge you to keep Wendy Alden to make over necessary. I urge you to share all the facts with the citizens of this community. And if we do not have sufficient information to make an informed and transparent decision tonight, postpone this decision. So the community can come together with important districts so we can all operate on based on facts. Thank you.
Anthony Arnold's here. Anthony followed by. And then followed by somebody will go right.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to do it. One time, I get right to the school. I think you know there and listen to the paper.
Could you please state your name for the record?
My name is Thomas. They are Emirates. And my son is 10 years old. And first week at 1 year. I think y'all went out to see that what we have the photo pretty different for the stuff. Wondering about that. Well, my making sure picked up on the bus and there's 6:15. When we came up, when the bus arrived, it comes in at 3:30 p.m. And that's why it's getting if we do it. He's for 20 time activity with his own tired and homework to do. I'm there. You get up at 5:30. Well, 7-year-old. Yeah. Okay, we all see it. You know, the very environment here have to have that foundation for learning. We just like we're young, establish very together. We get that piece. This is how that will be good. Concern. Yeah, we have so up there, and then we lost them. It's fun. We had something like really bad, like in school, which was less than a mile from our house. We had different learning. Kids had for the things you can put in. Okay, the lot of like one of the big is the house. Going on and in there and you began the way to wake up and take just the record. We haven't had that one either. If anything, I don't know what you can do, speak down in the bottom, speak down at the bottom. Love you, yeah, focus there, we'll back there,
Thank you. Someone? Or someone will have to Robert? Please. Thank you very much. For the record, I'm thank you for having me here today. I'm here in my official capacity as the chair of the Joint Interim Session on Education. I'm going to read my letter that I have sent around to many members of the community have seen, as well as CCSD. I just want to make sure we get this record. I'm here to express my deep concern about the recommendation to permanently close Pearl View Elementary School in Mount Charleston, which serves dozens of children in Nevada. This haphazard temporary closure process the school last year, followed by a breakdown of communication with affected families and state and local officials, and now a proposed decision to close the school permanently with little stakeholder input is completely unacceptable. Schools play a critical role in shaping the future of our children and our communities. As Nevada State Assemblywoman, chair of the Legislative Joint Interim Standing Committee on Education, president of the board for Family Connection, and most importantly, a mother of a high schooler at CCSD, I firmly believe child access to school is a fundamental human right in these roles. And in these roles, I am constantly prioritizing initiatives to strengthen existing programs and help increase student attendance and break down barriers many families experience quality education. I will say that my letter goes on, but I think we have realized how important it is to have family engagement. Sending these kids to Indian Springs, we're losing that ability. Chronic absenteeism is something that we've been talking about years and years. Sending these kids to Indian Springs, the chronic absenteeism is just going to go up. My father has a namesake school right at the bottom of the hill, 20 minutes down the hill, Jamesville Elementary. There's also Sherkabach, who I know I've talked to local principals would be happy in their interim to take those kids. Especially a lot of parents are headed that way to go to work anyways down the hill. I think we have a lot of options here, and I just don't think we should push this through. I am accepting right now recommendations for bills to come through my committee that we can bring to the legislature in the next legislative session. Last legislative session, we had a bill AB 519 that brought almost $65 million to a school up in Elko County. I think we can rebuild this school for the community. It's clearly what really will reconsider this decision. Thank you.
Good evening, Madam President, Trustees, Dr. Wilson, and for the recommending a proper vote, and I believe I'm planning for the vote. My first thought when I heard about it, we were planning on closing one year elementary school, was, wow, it's finally done. 20 years. CCSD's been looking to close this school for a long time. It's a small rural school. The per pupil funding is way higher than essentially every other urban school in our county school district. Having said that, it's not a tiny budget. It is the center of the community on that mountain. I don't live on the mountain. I live way out on the east side of town. The students that I teach have classes with 40 plus students in. Okay. I would love to have class with 30 students, let alone a dozen. That would be amazing. We don't have the teachers for that. We don't have the buildings for that. We also don't have the community engagement that they have at Lundy Elementary School. We just don't. I get that CCSD doesn't want to spend however much money it's spending, $6 million. Way overestimating how much it's going to cost. My wife works in the construction industry. The simple solution, the immediate solution, take a new parking lot, put trailers on, start portable parking. Have tens of thousands of kids in trailers. Put a portable toilet facility behind it, it's like actual building, not porta potties. The new septic system in there right now. And then work with the county and the state to rebuild the school that you were slated to rebuild anyway. You should have the money set aside to do that anyway. Okay, you cannot take a school that is the heart of a community and say, oh, I'm sorry, we're gonna bus the kids more than an hour each way on a mountain road with high school kids. We're talking about little kids. It is inappropriate to stick them on a bus for that length of time on a mountain road. Okay. When that bus slides off the road with a handful of a dozen or so little kids from up on the mountain, how are all of you going to work? Oh, look, we saved $1 million or we saved $6 million. As previously mentioned, we paid out $10 million because a kid got abused at school that should have had someone with him every minute of the day. Which gets to a larger problem that isn't. It's not a difficult decision. Reject the proposal to close the school. Direct your superintendent, one employee, to direct somebody, put pave a parking lot, and put a few portable classrooms in, put a few portable buildings in, a portable toilet. They can do it outside of Costco for a few weeks. They can do it up at Monday Elementary School for the school year while you get things sorted out. It's not hard. And let those kids go back to school in their communities. And then actually go and talk with county commissioners and the governor and whoever from the legislature is willing to sit there and talk to you. Okay? Because if you don't, you're closing the heart of the community and you're looking shady. You're sending a message that you're not trustworthy. If the Clark County School District isn't trustworthy, okay, you wonder why we have problems with the legislature getting enough funding. They don't know where the money goes. They're opaque about where the money goes. They gave us a record increase in funding. It's still thousands of dollars per student less than what their own study says we should have. They don't trust you. Ask yourself why that is. While you're sitting here deciding the fate of this rural school, ask yourself why all of the rural schools want to sever themselves from the Clark County School District. Okay? Why do we treat them as bad as we do? Okay? Those students have a right to an education too. Every single one of them. Thank you.
If you follow the website and the assessments.
Good evening. My name is Vicki Kreidel. I'm president of the meeting of Southern Nevada and the teacher. About 15 years ago, I lived on top of a mountain in California. Anyone familiar with San Diego? It's Mount Palomar, San Diego County. And my ex-husband worked at the observatory there in 19. So we moved up there with our son, who was in 6th grade. They had closed the school there a few years earlier. There was no children anymore. We were all gone. It was like the life of the community was gone. It was really sad, and I ended up having to move down the mountain with my son to be able to get him a decent education. And that was a tragedy then, and this is a tragedy today. Our schools in Clark County and the Valley right now are not all safe places to be. I work in an elementary. I love my school. I love my principal. I can't tell you that what we're seeing right now today is very different than what we saw 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago. Our classrooms and our schools are different places than we used to. This school, Lundy Elementary, has exactly what I wish we had at our school. It has the community support. It has the parents engaged. It has small class sizes. It has everything we need to improve our schools in the valley. Why are we taking this away from them? It makes no sense to me. Our schools should be the center of the community, like Lundy Elementary is. Some of these families moved up there so that their children could go to a 5-star school, and you were taking that away from them. I would not want my children to go from a 5-star school to a 1-star school, which is what Indian Springs. Indian Springs faces all kinds of challenges that they don't have at Lundy. I don't know that I would want my children in that environment, to be totally honest. We should all be talking about how to make our schools more community-centered and be the heart of the community instead of talking about test scores. We should all be talking about how to make our schools in Las Vegas Valley more like Lundy Elementary instead of what we normally talk about. So I really hope you will think long and hard before this decision, because once you've done it, there's going to be a backlash that we don't even know what will happen yet. We are hurting a community that doesn't deserve this that much time.
Our next 6 minutes, and we'll go on to Brandon Howell.
Hi, my name is Doug Self-Record. I am a mountain resident. I moved up here in September, just after the gravity. And I also had a privilege of being one of the best math teachers. I also teach on Mount Trust, Spring Mountain Youth Camp. For those of you guys on the board who may or may not know, it is a youth detention facility that is run by Park County Detention, and then CCSD operates the schools. And I love teaching there, and one of the reasons I really love teaching there is we have a population which is vulnerable, but even with that vulnerable population of young men who have committed crimes, you see a sense of community develop among teachers, they're called probation officers, and that sense of community, like a lot of other mountain residents have talked about, is invaluable in those kids, as well as Lundy's students as well. One of the things I'm just confused about, heard at the last meeting, heard at this meeting, is I don't understand about the insurance. We've heard something about insurance policies. We've heard about self-insurance. I know the chief communications officer for the community in the last meeting had mentioned that CCSD is self-insured for schools. I wonder what went wrong. Why is the school district underinsured for this school? What would happen if, Palo Verde had an issue? That school would be immensely enormous for Eldorado or any of the other schools. So I think one of my questions, and maybe one of the questions to work on the exercise, out here is, are we insured properly? Still don't understand. I try to get answers. I've got some neighbors, they don't understand. Also, before my teaching career, I used to be a healthcare executive. I worked for Renown in Reno, which have a management contract with a small amount hospital in Northern California. Like I said, it was in the mountains. We had tons of snow, like Charleston does. We had flooding. And I can't imagine something happening to our community hospital. And then we're now informing us. I'm sorry. We can't go to the hospital for this whole community. It's a hospital that the community relied on. It's a school that Charleston. Likewise, I've seen the effect of small class sizes of camps do wonderful things with these young men, as well as all these people that talked about here. A lot of people talked about the small size of the school in Mount Charleston. There's actually a school in CCSD that's even smaller than Mount Charleston or Lundy Elementary School. That's Wood Springs. Wood Springs may have as many as 5 students. And that school is located 11 miles away from Sandy Valley. Those, and I'm not saying, not proposing those children go to Sandy Valley, but that is so much closer than what it is from Lundy down to the base of the mountain. That's 30 minutes down to the base of the mountain. If you look at it, if Lundy closes, Mount Charleston will be the only area in Clark County where the children don't live close to the elementary school. I can't think of any other community that would be true. Yeah, I echo everybody. You know, I saw some amazing things with the flood from the residents. And we just moved here at the very end. All these people seem to just kind of pick things up, get things fixed. And we've had everything fixed on the mountain now, except for one. It would be a shame if one elementary was not fixed. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the 6 minutes. Brenda Town for the record. We've heard a lot about the bus, the long commute, and that impact. And as soon as I found out that school was going to close, I started doing research. That's what we do. And I found many studies on the impact on and every single one said the same thing. It impacts academic success because of the decreased attendance and chronic absences. In our instance, many parents, when it's icy roads and snow, the plow doesn't run until after 8 o'clock. They're picking them up at 6. So they don't want their kids from the bus in the mountain on those icy roads. Something else came up in those studies was sleep, the impact or lack of sleep from these kids with the early pickup times. Many studies are showing the importance of sleep to our children's health. How not enough of it impacts a student's overall health and well-being. Students need the proper amount of sleep for brain development and growth and academic success. Kids who do not get enough sleep have a higher risk to their health. This amazes me, including injuries, mental health, even asthma and diabetes, and are more likely to have attention and behavioral problems. This came up from a study of kids, 2,700 kids for all 12 years of their 13 years of their school. So not just some little 6-month study. The recommended amount of sleep for 6 to 12-year-olds, 10 to 12 hours a night. Lundy kids are getting up between 5 and 5:30 or even earlier to be at the bus stop by 6 a.m. To get that recommended sleep, our kids would need to go to bed at 5:30 in the evening, 2 hours after getting off the bus. They barely have time to change clothes, eat dinner, let alone have any family time. They are not getting adequate sleep. They are falling asleep in the classroom, on the bus, and at the dinner table. Their school day and week from the time they get up to the time they get home equals a 10-hour day, a 50-hour week. 10 hours more than their parents' 40-hour week. During our 5 months of winter, the kids will be waiting below freezing weather, standing in snow at the bus stop in the dark, and coming home in the dark.
and not getting the sleep required for the health and proper development, not just for a year, but this is for their entire 13 years of school. How can you think this is healthy, safe, or fair for our kids, any kids? And the last study showed that kids from small rural schools have higher graduation rates, higher rates completing college, and higher rates in civic office and leadership positions. You're not just depriving them of sleep, but depriving them of their future opportunities they will get from Lundy. There's only one vote that makes sense, and that's to keep Lundy open. So I want to know, is it about cost or enrollment? We have seen now from FOIA the cost assessment, and it was $1,531,000. What is it? $1,531,913.35, and that was basically what the insurance paid. The district has already collected that insurance money, so if it's not from Lundy, who is it for? You say 10 kids aren't worth it, so it's enrollment. We are over twice that at 26 and up to 31 with our toddlers and more families moving in next year. Our enrollment is going up while the district is going down. The district made a 6th revision to the 2015 CIP. They state the reason for revision was declining enrollment in projects once necessary with past revisions will no longer move forward. Multiple projects not needed. The Innovation Academy High School was reduced from 2,500 seats to 1,500. That's funding for 1,000 kids and 1,000 desks that will be saved. That's an elementary school. In Laughlin, they're combining their elementary and the high school, middle school with only 44% capacity. Put that on it. What I'm trying to say, there are solutions to repair Lundy, but solutions were never considered. We were never involved to discuss the option. The larger priority was after the flood. The larger priority was after the flood was Lundy. Was there a larger one than that? It was built in 1966. The engineer's damage report revealed many pre-existing issues, repairs that should have been fixed long ago. Our kids, we all experienced a very traumatic event. We are still recovering. Our entire community just wants to get back to normal. The district should have been there, but from the very beginning, we felt abandoned. The district showed they didn't care. They showed our kids weren't important. They never showed up. They never reached out. Our kids needed help, and no one came. You all know our trustee is missing in action. Now you all must be our voice, and if not you, tell me who. Will your voice protect the cost to these kids' health and development, or protect the district dollars for a project that could wait? Lundy kids can't wait. It's about their safety, educational equity, but most important, it's about their long-term health. Tonight, your priorities will tell how you choose to use your voice. Will you make the decision, trusting your own heart and gut, being the voice for the kids in our community, or just follow the recommendation from above? Which of you has the courage to vote to keep Lundy open? Your vote will not only show all here, but let the record show who's really for kids and who's just kidding.
Allison Sosa, present. Allison, followed by Cassandra Bowers. And Ernest.
I just want to share a personal story. My son and the local movie, he's live with him. It's really opportunity for me. And just it's just emotional. It really does make me think. There's so many more reasons more than another personal man here is my son had movies and did not go to country. Because he was at Lundy in our community, I really didn't get to him. It was faced with me, he was scared, he was in screams and never gave an hour. That's traumatizing enough. And so for him to just sit there and have his staff, I couldn't imagine how much different that situation was in for him. So because he was local, right up the road, I was able to grab him quickly and calm him down and get out the door, and you don't have any purpose of dentist before. We're getting drinks and we have missed next, and we're going to an emergency room, and it's so much easier to have a peace of mind and know that we're just up the street. Makes you more confident as a parent. Experiencing those. And the kids, please don't give them to do that. Let's keep them in there. Thank you. Stand up. Stand up. Stand up. Ernest, will you please teach us how to say your last name?
Ernest Pizarro, 20-year resident. I'm here as an individual. I'm also here because I'm privileged to serve as chairman of my trust out of 5 people. And I get 5 fires that I'm considering for authority people who get fired for. That's only stated to show that I care. Everybody. We all care. I'm going to play into your hand because you guys have taken a lot of this. Because we're all concerned. But I'm going to give you a way out. You're going to be through it. The one thing the school district does best, and this is based 50 years as a professional engineer, 35 in this town, acting as a consultant to modernization and rehab and new school construction. You know what you're doing there. I'll tell you, you build good schools, you improve the ones that need improvement. Make the decision to do what you've got an ace thing to do. Let's rebuild that one or give us a new one. I volunteer to serve on a committee that you're going to create because I know you're going to. We want to help you. We don't want to beat you up. We're here to help. Let us help. That's all I got to say. I got a minute and 30. You came out there.
Michael Thompson.
And Mike Thompson. I'm new here. I found out about this project really yesterday. About 2 weeks ago, I heard something. Went to me, but at any rate, so this is all new to me. I'm on this mountain, and like Ernie, I'm an engineer. The mountain seems to be engineered. At any rate, when I propose in listening to all this, it is amazing that folks are well spoken, and I do admire you all for your dedication and your work. It's evident that you're really concerned about the school system, and it's more than the small school. So that is admirable, and I know we really deep down all of us appreciate that. But we're in this situation where you all can either be like a villain or a hero. And what I would propose, and a little different, is that really view this as an opportunity. I've traveled to 300 national parks, and Vegas is the only place that has a BLM site, national forest, wildlife refuge, national park. Go into think about making an alliance of educational alliance with these outside entities. You would do well to do that. But the library already has a reading with the school, or it did have. So opportunity is really, that's the first one. All these other 4 things, the second one, what about research? You got a 5-star school. What about the opportunity to extract 5-star school? Think about those things. Being able to get a research grant. So, and then one other thing I don't know is I know this, that if you accept money from an insurance company and don't use it, there is a liability there. And in a public situation, it's just something you have to figure out. Is your liability in accepting the insurance money? They should give you a very detailed analysis of their gift, or not gift, but their payment to you, that money. You should get a very detailed analysis. So my suggestion is, put this off. Sorry.
Okay, colleagues. At this time, I will entertain questions. Trustee Devassus?
Thank you, Madam President. I think that we have heard a lot of deeply emotional testimony. I want to thank our team from the school district for all the hard work that they've done in research. I have so many questions. I know that my colleagues do also. So I'll try to make this, I'll try to condense it, very, very quickly. In fact, I'm just going to kind of do it in statements more and just kind of give you guys a break here. I have a lot of questions about the following categories, and most of these are my questions, but they have a little bit of flavor from the community also. So that has to do with category of the timeliness of communications to Mount Charleston community. Communications were made. Questions about the assessment, the process followed, insurance questions, the walkthroughs. Was the school used by firefighters or police officers for training when we are being told that the school building does not say it? And the key word here is safety for our children. So with our children's safety, yes, we are concerned about the roads, the winter weather, but what about, again, the social emotional effect? Yes, I am a therapist, so I will say that, but the social emotional effect of our very young children riding on a bus with middle school and high school kids. I was a high school teacher for 15 years here in high school in CCSD. So I can speak to that, having survived 5 of my own. I'm going to say we're not about the little bitty ones riding with the older ones. So I want to direct your attention to that sign up here. The sign is our mantra. We truly believe that. We are CCSD, but we have to believe that all of us are CCSD, not just maybe the big schools in the valley, the schools with large enrollments. We have to believe that every single child in this district matters. Madam President, at this time, without taking any more time and knowing that we can still have discussion, I would like to make a motion at this time to reject the current recommendation to close early development.
I'll entertain a second. And we will move into this.
I will second that motion.
Thank you. Given the fact that we have not. The fact that we have.
All right, this is Maureen, you're still in the queue, so if you want to go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for the presentation. Thank you to the community for showing out. The heart is full of joy seeing, this is organized, right? I do have some questions from the presentation that came about. So you all know I was an SOT member for a few years. We actually go way back. But I was wondering, do you know Lundy's SOT and their involvement with this process? With the forms, the communication? Madam President, members of the board, interim superintendent Larson Mitchell, trustees and more for the record, Lindsay Collins and regional superintendent. At this time, the SOT was not involved in the process of the business. For a while. Madam President, members of the board, interim superintendent Larson Mitchell, trustee Zamora for the record, Lindsay Tomlinson, region one superintendent. I am not sure why. I'm not sure the regulations or the statutes that apply to the SOT, and if that is part of the review of the SOT. Thank you. I know during the presentation, we talked about that you all have communication with families. I'm curious to know if there was any confirmation that families were getting another.
Madam President, trustees, superintendent, interim superintendent, story. We know that the communication to the families was from the principal directly. I am not aware of whether or not they could confirm the receipt of those. We do know that there was feedback from the families relative to those communications, but I don't have a slide who got this communication with them. Section.
So I've been very fortunate that a lot of my schools in the district are going through remodeling, and I know we've had issues regarding the replacement with the community, and we've explained the process of having children in a portable for a year while the construction is happening. And as you know, during the presentation, I quote, future possibilities of use of the facility with municipalities can be an option. Is there a reason why it cannot be now?
Madam President, trustees, superintendent, just to clarify your question, Stephen, you asked me why there couldn't be conversations with
Municipalities?
the municipalities now. So there have been meetings with county commissioners and their staff.
Sorry, that wasn't. Okay, I probably worded it wrong. It's not you. Can there be? Why can't there be possibilities with these? The quote was future possibilities of use of the facility with municipalities and remote. Is there a reason why it cannot happen now? Like, why can't we put students in portables now while we figure out how we work with the municipalities to have the facility functioning?
Sure, I trustees more, I can address the conversation. I would be important. So please come to that portion of your question. The conversations have been with municipalities, but it would be premature having conversations on future use of the property until decisions are made.
Madam President, members of the board, interim superintendent Larson Mitchell, trustees Zamora, for the record, Brandon Laughlin, portables could be one option, but mentioned in the presentation, approximately 75% of the projected cost is related to any site utility for portable. Yes, we could portable, but you can construct those, some supply to those. One conversational piece for could you do 10 measures, which has the additional property. So that's good.
I'm gonna try to go quickly. Is there, I have young children. Is there a plan in place to support families, which we know one of their biggest concerns is having the little kids in the bus for 2 hours, and the older children? Do you have any plan in place for those families? Madam President, members of the board, interim superintendent, Dr. Larson Mitchell, for the record, Jennifer Bovis, director of transportation. Currently, we do have in place that these young children are traveling with the bus. We don't. Next year, I believe there are only 2 children slated to go to Indian Springs that are elementary school that would be riding the bus. So there's no other options to explore where we can
I don't know, that's tricky, right? Or how do we, if this was to happen, how do we protect these younger children, like, okay.
Absolutely understand, and I would be willing to brainstorm some ideas.
I just have a quote of
Madam President, members of the board, for the record, Superintendent, Brenda Larson Mitchell, we do have some other situations in the valley where, schools are K-12. West Prep is one, Sandy Valley is another one. But we could explore maybe putting, potential aid on the bus, another adult, with all of the children on the bus. So that is something that we can definitely explore.
Thank you for that. And then I just have a closing comment, and I wrote it down as hearing everyone else, I'll be reading off the paper. During this process, I do believe that we have missed opportunities to build relationships with the community and businesses in our house. And I believe we have the opportunity, we have an opportunity to be proactive and fix the school for future generations in this that community of mine.
Thank you, Ms. Long.
Thank you, President Garcia Morales.
Let's chat, shall we? I have a few questions, and as you know, because you've been receiving my questions by email, I want to talk a little bit about bond, because they mentioned that the bond oversight committee only heard about it last week. Is that true? Did they only hear about the change in construction?
Madam President, the board of Mitchell, trustees non for independent block. And yes, we did share the damage assessment report. 7113 policy regulation as part of last week's meeting.
Okay, and what did they determine? I haven't had a chance to watch. Did they, what exactly was their finding?
Madam President, members of the board, in principle, on the recommend by the purview of the bylaws of that, granted by the trustees to that committee, really the decision of the school is under 7113, so it was not of their purview to be discussing school closure.
Okay. Okay, so I just wanted folks to understand that, because it mentioned in public comment that the bond oversight committee was supposed to make a determination. Okay, and then did we know the fire department out?
Jason Gallagher, director. So we did have a lease with them. We communicated with them that once we started making decisions to close school, that they would not be allowed to continue the lease. We don't know for sure. We know that they were in the building, but we don't know if they were working out or in 3D. So we don't have any hard facts as to what they were doing.
Okay. And then kids have one last question. Because my hope was that we could be creative. And so walk me through it why we can't have a portable, at least for a couple of years, because isn't there a new community that's being built that's going to have a school on the mountain? And isn't it going to be in like 2027?
Madam President, members of the board, and Superintendent Mitchell, trustees non for the recommended block. Certainly a portable was something we considered, but I mentioned this follow-up, 75% of this cost is infrastructure related. So whether it's compared to the existing facility or portables on site, additional operating costs, but to have adequate power, water, sewer, fuel, and communication systems, it was a negligible difference cost to get that classrooms. Ultimately, I'll speak to that. The modular classroom building is not an adequate. This construction is
Robert, I'm sorry, you know,
I don't want to ask you to leave. And I. That information. Please do not engage with the, you're not seeking your comments, you've already provided your remarks. It's now on the staff. We're all respectful during your remarks. We expect the same.
Madam President, members of the board, I told trustees on the record. These fiscal structures would perform very poorly given the differentiated climate of Mount Carlson. These buildings are not built for the excessive heat loss that those structures would lose. We would have uncommon weather challenges than what we see in town here. And the unanticipated snow loads upon those buildings would not be suitable for our students to stop.
I just want to make sure that, so the would not be good in the climate, I get that. And so there was, and we looked at any other way of temporarily having the students up there to be taught until maybe the new school is built, that's down the mountain. I'm just trying to figure out what type of creative thought process seems to be went.
Madam President, members of the board, we did explore portables and one also went there, but partnerships on this report and we discussed preliminarily, see if it could be discussed. Once the decision by the board was made, so we were in the first reading discussion. And additionally, we didn't mention the aspect of the problem, but yes, part of the Division 6 was recommended by the board on oversight committee last week. So school 1 of 10, Division 5, but eventually those school year 2018 closer even the building.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being on.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation and for coming out today and we listened very creative. Everything that makes your statements and thank you. So typically when a school closes, we rezone. This is not the case. Having myself grown up, the small town I graduated, 49 students in class. I love. So this school towns revolve around that community, around the school. They revolve around these abilities going on, the fall festival, space. That's where just I can't. It just breaks my heart. I mean, I really can't. And I encourage us to not get and be creative. We have mental health issues. We have our grants. There are projects that we put on hold for a number of times. You did address my question was also about the portables and placing this in my understand it's not a long-term solution. I do think that if it could be placed on the school site, it could be placed on a different like library, somewhere else. That's the prostitution. But my question was related to that. What about it was mentioned about the possibility of utilizing these for how have we explored that partnership there and what would we like in that?
Jason got it from the record, so I know that there was preliminary discussions. I was not part of those components. There's always the concern about having a public school within a church. There's challenges with that from a legal perspective, so we didn't explore that greatly. And again, the temporary solutions of renting components. There's still a number of different paths that still need to be happened for temporary modulars to put up power, electrical, any of the plumbing and necessary things in place with permitting as well. So that's part of the challenge that it wouldn't necessarily be easily enough to be done even during this year. And we believe most of anything that we would do wouldn't be able to be started until the beginning of 2025.
It was stated too that schools are not built for that environment and not know that. And certain measures will regularly or not. I'm looking at it, I'm thinking about it, just, thinking from the parent perspective. I think this is, as we think about, it's a minimum of 540 hours per year for the students to be in the class. Now we talked about it, about the other way. So what is the possibility that, let's say that was the case, we're going to be fighting the second.
Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent Mitchell, statutory. There are many schools within our county school district that have a 75 minute ride on the bus. Many also do a K-12, have K-12 students. Sandy Valley has one from Prim, which is quite a distance. The planned route is 107 minutes. The actual transit time is about 75. In town, Westcott is a K-12, and they transport students because it is a K-12 school. They have K-12 in their, they have 3 buses that they have. They do not. They do not. Because that is more of a neighborhood school, the transit time is quite less. Out of the city in rural students who live in Valley Fire area are also transported about 80 minutes to Grand Bowler and then Nebby River to Perkins. So there are both situations in the Clark County School District. Students are riding K-12 and have long transit times due to their location and residence.
And it just, I don't know if anyone had this. I know there was a lot of growth at area, Paces Mountain, hoping kind of, or not so often, particularly in the new development or
Static record, based on our demographics group, which does look at all the growth there, there is very limited anticipated growth.
the concern is how not having a school will work. My questions again, I do understand numbers. I understand the smaller teams and it's pretty much a lot of money. Try to help some of those.
Let's use Sparsus Shelf again.
You for the presentation. We've had some extensive conversations with staff about this. I just want to thank the community for showing up. I know you're very important to me along with me. Just know that we appreciate your voice. See, feel that. So I have questions, but I want to express some of the things to the and some individuals within this team kind of encourage their circumstances so they can get after the fact. I just feel like communities in general will go much further if we include them in the process instead of it having been done to them. So my observations of how this was done, the fact that we had 2 separate meetings happening at the same time and we did not meet the families where they were, it's very concerning to me as a former leader within a school building. As part of it is to make hard decisions. You have to be able to take that hard conversation. So I just want to say to you that for me, the communication, I feel now to not involved in the process. which was very, very concerned. I'm very concerned, a lot of the questions that I still have, we go into. What would happen to the land, if the school was closed? What would happen?
Jason, for the record, currently we do not have any plans. We're not planning to make any plans until we get a decision. If it were to close, then we would continue communications with other municipalities that express communication or express opportunities to maybe do something together where we could either donate or provide the land at very low cost and allow that to happen. But we don't have any plans yet. We just have very high level discussions.
And the reason I'm asking is because public education is the first for all communities, and it helps them to thrive and survive. My concern is that if we were to sell the land, would it be, not because I'm not a supporter of schools of higher education, that in any form or fashion, really very clear, I support that. But could it potentially, could a charter school potentially work on that land is something, and I know we don't have the answer, throwing the question out for us to consider an option. So that's just giving me the word. The next thing I want to ask is about options. We have an amazing online learning school in our community. Depending on what the decision could be tonight, could there be consideration for those students to engage in online learning instead of having to ride a bus with other students that can potentially, as we've heard, be very concerned with what they're being exposed to and what's happening? We shut down during COVID. Even our littles were online. Everyone was learning. It's not ideal. It's not the best circumstance. Would it allow us some time and an opportunity to consider reach out to municipalities, maybe some other options we have not considered? So that's just something I think about school safety and students.
Madam President, members of the board, interim superintendent Larson Mitchell, trustee, Barnes Stockton. For the record, Lindsay Tomlinson, regional superintendent. Yes, that is absolutely an option. COSA works with the Battle Learning Academy as well. So we can definitely work through that. I've been personally working with some families. They can reach out to the regional office, they can ask for me, and I'm happy to work through that.
Thank you for that. So that's a potential solution temporarily. Right. So depending on what is decided tonight, I just want to reiterate that I think we're not thinking very creatively, still with you, or maybe potentially you've heard some comments from individuals that might want to provide some resources. And I would love to see, because of the fact that communication in the beginning was something that maybe wasn't ideal. It's an opportunity for us to have a different conversation. And I hope the community would be very open, and if they're showing that such showing up, having a different conversation could be able to be potentially different tonight.
Thank you, Madam President. I also want to college to thank you to the staff for your preparation and your presentation. I'm eternally grateful for more from students, and equally thank you for the community. I love the participation, and I love the ones who come up with solutions instead of just talking about problems. For those individuals, like the chairman of the town advisory board, think about solutions. I would like to say, being from the rural community, I appreciate that Senator Goldie's comment about the Nevada way. And I do think that we need to be creative. I understand that the school is not just a school. I get it. There's more than that. And so we've got to figure that out together. And so I appreciate former Commissioner Trustees to say how could you. And so I agree with my colleagues that we have to figure it out creatively together.
and we buy ourselves time. And so my question to the staff is, if we made a decision to close the school, does that mean that we then can start conversations on how to be creative, or we can't start the conversations of creativity until we make that decision?
Jason got a record. I mean, I think there's certainly a way to do both, but given where we are right now, I think a decision is appropriate tonight to at least give us guidance. And if it's to not close, then we will have to go back to the table. If it is to close, then there's obviously potential for reconsideration. I just think that there have been discussions throughout the process of different options, and based off of where we were, this was deemed to be the recommended course of action at this time.
Thank you for that. And so the other question I have for the staff is, there was a community member who came forward and said that the kids at Monday could maybe get a Podca and go to the other schools down the mountain now. My question is, do the parents know that that's an option? I would rather have my child go down the mountain than probably go to the. And so if you could explain that a little more to me.
Yeah, President, members of the board, interim superintendent Larson Mitchell, trustee Monte Adams, for the record, Lindsay Tomlinson, regional superintendent. So we do have options at COSA. COSA is a change of school assignment. Since the students are zoned directly for Indian Springs, the options are provided that you fill out a COSA working through my office, and we can help, and we've been supporting those. We know that it is a catastrophic event, so that is something that will qualify for COSA. To build range come back. It does not come again with transportation, but that is where we are looking at regulation 3535 and do a transportation to follow that regulation.
So I feel some hope there that I can have my child go closer down the mountain, and that we as a team may entertain helping with transportation problems. It's not normal in the regulation. And so would we have to make a vote to close the school in order for that to happen, or we can do that now?
Madam President, members of the board, interim superintendent Larson Mitchell, trustee Bustamante Adams, for the record, Lindsay Tomlinson, regional superintendent. That is an option now. There are in fact some families that have already chosen that option because they didn't know the decision that was going to make, and they wanted to be planned for next year. And we have supported that and worked through that with them already.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Zamora, I see you there. You're in the queue, but I'm going to go to members who have not answered. Speak yet. Trustee Johnson.
So I thought initially, in the queue, and so she would have had when I had something for self.
Thank you. Madam President, members of the board, for the record, interim superintendent Larson Mitchell. I'm going back to trustee Bustamante Adams' question and adding on to Mr. Gowdy. What I heard you saying, trustee, is that if we were going to look at other solutions or recommendations, would we recommend closure tonight and then be able to look at that? Was that the question, trustee? Okay. So if the direction of the board is to look at other potential options and solutions, if the recommendation is made tonight to close, then we would potentially look at other recommendations and solutions to keep the school open. I wanted to clarify that. Johnson?
Yeah, don't want to opine. I think I would say a lot of what is they just like process was the difficult part. So it feels like when I heard it initially, when I got some of the information initially, I thought this was pretty cut and dry because it was dollars and cents, and so it felt like even though these are human beings, we had to make a tough decision based on dollars and cents, but that wasn't the full context. It just didn't feel like doesn't feel like we got a recommendation. We
kind of walk through all of the options. And say like, we can't do this because, we can't do this because. And so I think we're getting now a position where we have to make a choice, where, you know, people are coming up with lots of different options. And I don't know what those options are feasible or not, but it just doesn't feel like we've gone through the process of crossing them off the list and like saying why they're not feasible. And again, I know we could probably come up with a zillion options, but you know, at least if we've had the conversations and this, I'm not certain we've had those yet. So how do we create the process so that we can have the conversations first and then come and say, like, here are all the things we tried, here are all the reasons why we, you know, we can or can't do something. And then we can get to the space. So, and I guess I said it in one open, but I guess I'm going to, because there's no question in my statement. The other part is, I feel like this is all on the Podca County School District, but this is more than just a school. It is a community space. And so there should be other people at this, who are like shouldering some of the responsibility, especially the financial responsibility. We don't have unlimited funds. We're consistently being scrutinized about how we're spending money, why we're spending money in a certain way. And so this feels unfair for this to be just our financial burden when this is more than just a school building. It's a community space. It's a firehouse. It's you know, sounds like police officers get their workouts in here. So like it's some of everything, and we have to shoulder all of this. So I don't know how we can start those conversations, and I hope it doesn't. Can't just start if we have to close it. But like we should be able to go to our partners, whether they're local municipalities, state legislatures, to be able to say, this is some of everybody's responsibility. We all want to make sure that this place stays open, that these families are important to us, to all of us. How do we spread some of the financial burden across? Because we can't shoulder it all, especially when we know that you're going to reap some of the benefits of this place being done and reopened and staying open for many years. So my hope is that, one, we look internally at our processes and how do we, on the front end, make sure that everybody is part of the conversation. And then secondly, make sure that we're reaching out after we recognize that we can't do everything. We get the help that we need from our partners. So I think we should get to a space, that we get to a space that we want to move to where we don't have to shoulder all this by ourselves. And it feels like we want to be in a space we want to start exploring some other options. I hope we do that. It just doesn't feel like we've done all of it right now. So, no question in there. Just I hope that we can think about that as we start moving forward.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Before I go back to my colleagues who are currently in the queue, I want to give Trustee PC Williams, who's on the phone, a chance to respond to one. Brooks, no.
Thank you, Madam President. I just have a few comments. First, I want to talk to the November meeting that we are not advocates for building new schools or anything like that. Our job is to manage budget and to be representative of the community. Now, with that being said, we are not just representatives for one piece. While I don't like the fact that we are all through the accounting system and giving them that that's the law. But this isn't an easy decision by any means, because when you disrupt communities, that just disrupts everything. And yet we have 300,000 students we have to do this for, not just 10, 20 next year. We have a legal obligation to do this the right way financially. I have a hard time having any support for keeping the school open when I have trustees on this board that then go on to say that we have to spend $5 million to review this school when they have issues with us paying our employees certain times, or they have issues with paying out settlements for certain issues. Keep in mind, the insurance companies are not the same. Insurance companies for liabilities for students getting hurt at the school are not the same for constructional liabilities. So I just want to say that my heart goes out to these families, and that they've also been displaced in August. I'm not saying it's working well. I don't know that. And I'm thinking that we can always go back and look at that stuff more. And it's clear that the school district is trying And we cannot solve every problem that comes to our doorstep. We are the largest employer in the state. We are the largest school district. We are the fifth largest school district in the country, and we are trying to grow. So I think it's pretty hard to be supportive of rejecting this when the fact of the matter is that we have millions and millions of dollars we have to manage. Now, can we, like Vincent Gowdy said, like get to a point where we can actually rent this land to the community and we can help build a center? And like Sophie Johnson said, maybe we share the cost. That's now a county commission issue and state legislation. All of which is no basis. So those are my comments. That's all I have.
Mr. Brooks?
Thank you, Madam President. As the current liaison for
After Mr. Brooks?
they were required.
Mr. Brooks, could you please start again?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. As the current liaison for the board bond oversight committee, I want to know and verify this process is required to follow. So there were questions about whether or not this should have come to bond oversight. That's not something that aligns with our policy. This is an unfortunate and difficult decision, and for me, the decision is about rebuild a small school for a small number of students. Rebuilding Lundy means that we redirect resources from the district construction project, and that project will probably be extended for significantly more students. I'm a little concerned about the suggestion that we place other projects on hold, forcing other students to subsidize Lundy while attending school in overcrowded schools without consistently functioning plumbing and air conditioning. I don't think that's a fair suggestion. The district has limited human and capital funding resources, and Lundy students already receive significantly more resources than their peers, and that's before we invest in a multi-million-dollar building. Their most recent figures for their per pupil are $66,000 versus the district average of over $11,000. I feel the district does their best to accommodate the families of students enrolled in Lundy. They were offered alternative enrollment options after they had concerns about distance to Indian Springs. There's also a closer school that will be available by the time Lundy could possibly be, and that will be built in Sky Canyon. I recognize Lundy is an important part of the community and the importance extends beyond academic purposes. And I'm definitely supportive of allowing these non-academic purposes to be completed by somebody other than the school district without an option. In my opinion, the district is compromising good faith to address an unfortunate situation that wasn't a result of their own actions. And my heart goes out to the community, but I can't support redirecting money from a larger group of students when reasonable options have been offered to my new students. I think the collaborative and innovative approach is still possible if the school closes, and if it's something through a partnership with another entity, then that can be offered after the fact, including the suggestion that was made about utilizing staff. So I can't support redirecting these resources away from a large institution.
Thank you, Mr. Brooks. I'll take a moment here to, my comments and prior to my colleagues who were something. I actually have a couple of questions. One is with respect to aid, available, potentially aid available to families who choose to drive your children down to the closest school. Could you share more about that in terms of what would that look like for families if they need to sign up? As an additional
Madam President, Superintendent Mitchell, yes, under current regulations, CCSD regulation 3935, we do and have in the past provided families where in extraordinary circumstances where we could not provide transportation
for example, Nelson, Nevada, we did, it's up to $10 a day, it's also in NRS, that we would reimburse them for some of their travel costs. Per family.
That's something that could potentially be reevaluated, maybe, so when was maybe a professional, was that?
Madam President, members of the board, superintendent of our senior children, and folks for the record. It is based on the governmental mileage as the federal mileage per mile.
Very good, thank you, because that was a good.
Correct. And like I said, it is in the NRS.
I'd like to ask more around the school. I keep hearing, like, we don't want the school closed. The school is currently closed. Is that correct? You're not from the formal formality of the board of trustees for the has approved, however, it's still currently operational.
Jason got it for the record, so, subsequent to the, storm, it has not been operational. Additionally, to address some of the budget components, there aren't any students from a pupil-centered funding plan who are actually attending the school. And so essentially there's nothing that generates funds out of that. We do still maintain separate counting budgets for both Lundy and for Indian Springs, because there's some accounting issues where the teachers hadn't on the news wasn't closed until next year. So it'd be at one school. That was more just an accounting component to it. And so from an accounting perspective, there's still some money, but it's essentially closed and it has not been operational for students been attending it since the storm itself.
And that was September of last year. August. Thank you. I am very hyper aware both of the presence in this room and the advocacy efforts from members of our community leading up to this meeting, that this is a jewel in our not Carlson community, and I fully acknowledge and recognize that. And it's more than a school. I hear that it is a community that builds taking a lot of traditions of space that make this building extraordinarily special. Well, I acknowledge that this is a valuable asset to our community. I also struggle with how we are, where we are in terms of the school currently being non-operational. I'm encouraged to hear that there is, in order for one decision to be made, other decisions need to be made first. The board's official position on the school remains closed or open, or open to rebuild it. In order for us to entertain additional conversations with municipalities and with partners, we have to have this decision today. And to see how those conversations need to take place and continue to take place. I am encouraged also to hear that our families who are currently students on will have access to post-up programs, to mileage, if we choose to do NPLA, to a variety of other resources. They've been a number of mentioned, what would look like potentially another organization to come in and be a school within that space. Sell this property very reduced rate. And at the same time, I think the incredibly high with the grade challenges that exist across our entire school district, and that was heavy on me. Decision like this is a great scene. Kids in our school district, we have as reference various members of our kids. very large numbers of students in their classrooms. And we're for us to continue to invest in making improvements to any school, this school or any other that has severe challenges. We have to make really hard decisions about what it looks like to be funding from a school that may be falling apart, doesn't have see so I'm not able to support continuing to invest in this school at this time. That is really as a result of the facts that presented beforehand, that's just here. And knowing that there are possibilities for this community outside of the school district's efforts, that is encouraging for me, knowing that there's an appetite from legislators and county officials to be involved in the second version of this building and reflect the space. I'm going to turn it over to my colleagues who are in the queue at this time. And I want to also acknowledge that we have an active motion. So go ahead with your remarks and afterwards go ahead. Vote. Trustee Zamora.
Thank you, Madam President. COSA. COSA is still in the raffle basis. Madam President, members of the board, Interim Superintendent Larson Mitchell, trustees and more, for the record, Lindsay Tomlinson, Region 1 Superintendent. It is a process that you apply for. It's not directly a raffle, but since it's a catastrophic event, we are working directly to ensure that the COSA process is approved for these students at Mount Carlton. Including the learning. Madam President, members of the board, Interim Superintendent Larson Mitchell, trustees and more, for the record, Lindsay Tomlinson, Region 1 Superintendent. There's never a guarantee, but I'm working directly with the family and the COSA process to ensure that we can support the families. NDLA and Bill Ray and Schirkenbach are definite COSAs that we can make happen. Another question, Valley of Fire was mentioned. We don't have a school Valley of Fire. So I just saw that the head shake says if you want to answer that. And it was compared that the students have to be on the bus for 80 minutes, but I don't want us to compare those students because they went into the community knowing that there's no school there. This is a different situation. There is a school there. We do have an opportunity to invest. So I think it's just two different, like apples and oranges, right? Comparison to students being on the bus. I do remember hearing that actually to Trustee Johnson, who mentioned about others kind of funding. Some commissioners have said that they were willing to possibly explore how we can work together and they can help with funding. And I was wondering if I could yield to trustees support to see if she might. What's everything you know? What's everything you know from this?
And I don't have to that, know that one really need my question is kind of along those lines, as well as a follow-up to that. If the land, then let's say the land has been granted to a different entity, are there situations that go along that for excuse, or would there be able to explore the option of real things? And then what if the insurance company that they have? Well,
Jason Getty for the record. So it would really be up to the board, right? So if there was a decision to close, we would enter in discussions, reading the board to see what options are out there. Our intent, and we've discussed this many times, would be essentially transfer or sell it for $1. And then again, we would discuss based on the board's direction as to if there would be or would not be any stipulations, as well as if we would be willing to utilize any remaining insurance dollars towards the betterments of the property going forward. So all of those are options, and it would be at the discretion of the board guiding us, and we would come back with potential options for the board. And obviously, it would be subject to the other jurisdictions, either commission or council as well.
If it is deemed that, it's not necessarily possible to CCSD or just not able, understand that there are constraints and everything that there are still options, right? We're not closing that door on the community.
Yeah, it was just investing in their environment is investing in our kids. And I think that's the process.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you to my colleagues for their very relevant comments from all different perspectives. I really appreciate it. I think we need to cut to the chase here. And that's that. I think that there's some clarifications. This is where I defer to the expertise of my team here. I did ask these questions before. So we talked a lot, and I want to thank my colleagues for just talking out to make me think of this. I want to flip the script here a little bit in the opposite direction. So we talked a lot about what would happen, what we need to do, that we need to close the school before we can get money, before we can have community partnership, before we can have anything else happen. So I want to ask our team, whoever would like to answer, if we reject the recommendation to close, does that mean that we don't look at any other options for partnerships or funding or anything? What happens if the vote is to reject the recommendation? Where do we go from there?
Lisa Gowdy for the record. So the exploration of other options has been started. Additionally, I guess the biggest challenge overall is the financial component. And all of the options that are offered tonight didn't change the financial component, whether we put modules up there, whether we do this for a little bit, it's still going to end up costing $5 to $6 million, right? So that doesn't change it. I know there's discussions around what happens if the state chips in or what happens if the county chips in. I don't know. You've been on the board for quite a while. You and I started just about the same time, right? And I don't recall that happening very often. Now, whether or not it could, I don't know. But saying something and actually doing it for CCSD tends to be a little bit. So I think that if the decision was not proposed, we would certainly explore that. If somebody's willing to step up and say, we're going to write a check for $5 million, I think that certainly changes the financial aspect to it. There's still operational challenges and some other components that we consider as well.
Thank you, Mr. Gowdy. I appreciate that. But the point I was trying to make is that it doesn't have to be. I think I heard our president say that we would have to go to close the school before we can even explore any of the things. You are correct. I have to agree with you there on your statement of the options. But can you briefly go into, if we vote to close the school, about the 30-day option for, I think it's, can you help me out with the wording there, and how long that process would take if we did vote to close the school?
Jason Getty from the record. So yeah, so under statute as well as our own regulation, that if there was a vote to close the school tonight, the public would have 30 days for which to file a written notice of essentially appeal or request for reconsideration. It needs to be in writing, needs to be made to the district / the board within 30 days. On receipt of the first one, the clock starts ticking, and we must then have a second reconsideration hearing within 30 days of that notice. Hope that addresses those pieces.
It does, and I know that it's confusing to explain. So it starts ticking. Let's say that my colleague here, Trustee Satori, files that written appeal, and so the clock starts ticking there. And then say this gentleman right there in the front row files another appeal, and it's like 3 days after she does that. Clock is already started ticking. We basically have to go from the first, it has to be written, correct? The written appeal.
Correct. It does have to be written, and the reason we have to start with the first one is the law essentially states, and our regulation as well, that upon notification, written notification, you must have a hearing within 30 days. So as we see run, that clock start ticking. That doesn't mean we still can't receive additional appeals, and we will continue to accumulate those. But we will still have to have that meeting within 30 days.
Okay. So what we're looking at here is that it could be kind of a drawn out process because we would have to kind of designate a reasonable date to accommodate the appeal, even though the clock would already start ticking. Okay. All right, I think that answers just about everything, so I don't know if anybody else needs to be here.
There is one more person in the queue. Thank you, Mr. Delafis. Trustee Sparsa stop again. Trustee Sparsa stop again. After Trustee Sparsa stop again, we'll go ahead and I'll vote. Thank you.
So I just want to kind of bring us back to how we came here, and when we had our initial meeting, which you it was told to us that this decision was in place by the previous administration, by the previous leader. So I am saying to you that I have a problem with that because we do not have that sitting with the same. I think we need to really look at what has been presented. We have some things that maybe we were not privy to or aware of. We're not considering. We have a new interim superintendent at this time, and I think she's willing, if whatever the decision is going to be, to take our direction and to involve the community and have a deep conversation. So I just want to inform my fellow trustees that are having the power to make the decision and make the vote. But if I had a vote, I would not be in favor of it. Thank you.
Trustee Delafis, could you pull back on the mic, please, and restate your motion?
Yes. My motion, to be clear, is to reject the recommendation at this time to close Earl J. Lundy Elementary School. Madam President, I have a question for you, if you don't mind. It's kind of like a follow-up to what Trustee Ramona Esparza Stockton just stated. I know that our appointed trustees right now do not have a vote. She was kind enough to say what her opinion was on that. Would we be able to ask our other trustees, here without a vote, how they would vote if they had that vote, or what their opinion is, if that would be more legally correct?
At this time, thank you, Mr. Delafis, for moving forward with the vote. Call for the question. I'm sorry, call for the vote. Your specific motion was to reject the recommendation to close Lundy Elementary School. Trustee Zamora, you're still seconding it? That's a yes. All right, colleagues, please go ahead and pass your vote. Trustee Williams?
Nay.
Trustee Brooks?
Nay.
Okay, colleagues. Can you please go back to the vote? Make sure I got, okay, colleagues, that motion. That motion does not pass. Al, can you please go on record? Yeah. At this time, right, so the. So. I thought we can review another motion to.
That is it.
And I'm happy to make that motion to accept the recommendations to close the Lundy Elementary School.
Mr. Cavazos, do you have a question or are you second? Oh, it's the President? Okay. Thank you very much. We just happened to council. The gist of it is your motion did not have enough votes. So we are back to square one. In something new. Okay, can we get a voice vote on that on the last, on my motion, please? Sorry, trustee Velasquez. The vote was already recorded and it was already, it was recorded. So I'm not gonna entertain a voice vote. However, I just placed vote, excuse me, I just placed a motion on the floor to accept the recommendations to close Earl B. Lynn.
Can I be listening to?
Is that this one, Reynolds?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Can I second the motion with Nigel adding to there that, the district work with, the county or municipalities to find an innovative use for the site?
Thank you. Just first allow me 1 second. Colleagues, what's going on over here? You go on the asking about you. Recording. Okay. Okay. All right, Mr. Brooks, can you please restate your second and write us a little, please repeat it.
Yes, what I said was, I second the motion and, making amendment to direct the district to work with the county or other municipalities who are interested in using the site to serve the community.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That is I accept that amendment. So, colleagues, we have a motion on the floor to accept the recommendation to close Earl B. Elementary School and to direct the superintendent of staff to work with municipalities to find a use for the space of the community. All right, colleagues, we have a motion and a second. Please cast your vote. Trustee Brooks.
Aye.
Trustee Williams.
Aye.
Colleagues, have a, can I just go back to the vote? That motion. Allow me 1 second. Thank you. That motion. I believe there's a question on the, please, Trustee Guzman Adams.
Thank you, Madam President. No, I wanted to make a motion.
Thank you, I appreciate that. All right, so I see that motion does not pass. Colleagues, that motion passes does not pass, excuse me. It's 3 no's, 3 yeses, excuse me, and 4 no. Trustee Guzman Adams.
Thank you, Madam President. I would like to make a motion to direct our interim superintendent and the staff not to invest the 5 to 6 million to the opening school. But the proposal is that they do work with the legislature, state, and any other local municipality. I'm very interested in those grants that they were talking about for rural communities to figure out a clear solution on what we can do for. So I am not in favor of the financial investment. So that's my motion.
Can I get some clarification?
Allow me 1 second, Trustee Brooks. Trustee Guzman Adams staying on. Is your, can you please clarify what you mean by not investing? Is that recommendation?
I don't think that making the recommendation to close the school is the answer, and that's why I'm still struggling, because why can't we have this conversation? So my motion is to not make the investment, and if that you're saying that we close the school in order to have this conversation,
yes, I'm just stating it differently, because I don't understand why we can't do it the other way around, right? Because we're directing staff to not make financial investment, figure out another way. Is it at the church? Is it, I'm not in favor of the poor either, but something that relieves of that financial, responsibility and figure out, work with the community on figuring out what we can do. And so I don't know if that's articulated well, but I just, I know we're in a rock and a hard place. And, I respect Commissioner Kirkpatrick and Commissioner G that I want to find a solution. And for your community, I just don't feel the financial investment is the answer. So I don't know what that motion is, Madam President, but that's, I want to direct our staff, do not make the financial investment, but go ahead and have the conversation. Start figuring out something else. And if that means selling our land for $1, okay. I would be open to hear those proposals. I just don't think that we have to make that vote in order to, consider other options.
Thank you, Trustee Basanta. Adams, it's okay, I'm gonna the pen here. See the motion one. In order for us, so there's two items here. The closure of the school and the rezoning of students. In order for us to rezone students, do we in order for us to rezone students to other alternative options, are we required to close the school? Right now, the per zoning, students who attend this school are zoned for that specific school. There is no, the school not operational, the schools that give temporary investments to send them to other parts of our community and or provide additional options. So, some additional clarity there. Dr. Smith. Madam President, members of the board, for the record, interim superintendent Orson Mitchell. Currently, the school is closed due to it not being safe for us to have school. So we have some schools that are students who are being homeschooled. We have students who are going to Indian Springs. So we could potentially look at where kids could go in August. Because even if we rebuild or repair, that will not be ready in August anyway. So we could look at potential options for where kids can go in August and potentially explore other solutions, hearing the direction from the board.
Madam President, I feel like we have done what we can for the family, right? We're being considerate for doing a COSA arrangements, making a potential transportation option. I think right there that we're getting right, and at least have a temporary solution for the upcoming school year. It's not a long-term solution. I'm not advocating to invest. It is figuring out with our other stakeholders and community partners, what else can we do? Because I understand what the school needs for that community and how it needs to be used. So for this coming school year, you can even do it if you wanted to, but I did.
In order for us to in order for us, thank you, Trustee Basanta Adams. I think I'm confused by the no, I understand the investment. I don't know that I understand the so we propose potentially some corporate partners to sell.
That may be an option, sell the land. I don't know what the regulation is to have school at a church. I don't know those answers, but I want us to explore what else we can do. So yes, I'm in favor of having a conversation of selling the land. Absolutely.
in order for us to sell the land, we have to close the school. Because we- Well, I mean, it's in the, two classes with their, they'll give you. Where, do you wanna jump in? Oh, I'm sorry, here we go. If you wanna jump in, thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate, because you just want to Alex, what you're trying to do, I do understand where you're coming from. However, I don't think it's a valid motion because of what is on the agenda right now. This is not a zoning item that we are voting on tonight. We are voting on whether to close the school or not. The zoning part is just a part, it's a component of that. So I understand where you're coming from, but I think from where I'm sitting, it's either we can table the item. I would be willing to do that right now. Would you consider amending the motion that you were trying to make, that we were having a little bit of trouble understanding, clarifying? Would you be willing to make the motion to table this item right now until we explore some of those other options that we are looking at? Some solutions, as you put it. I would be willing to second that. If you willing to reword your motion.
In order, for me to consider that, Dr. Larson, Mitchell, it doesn't change the fact that in August, kids can't go to. Dr. Mitchell?
Madam President, members of the board, for the record, interim superintendent Ashley Mitchell, correct, it does not change. They will not be attending one meeting in August because it is not.
And if I get a motion to table, but do want to have these conversations, these hard conversations, and I'm not in favor of that investment. Rate open or just fixing the school, we've got to figure out another option. It's that is if I accept the motion to table it, can we also put in there for you guys to have a hard conversation to figure out?
Madam President, members of the board, for the record, interim superintendent Ashley Mitchell, trustee Monte Adams, I would need to ask legal what table means. But we as staff are willing to, work and look at potential solutions.
Thank you, Mitchell. I see trustee, I mean, trustee Brooks is in a queue with to jump in. I just, if you guys are, people, trustee Brooks.
Thank you, Madam President. Regarding the tabling, in order to table something, you have to bring it back to untable it, so it's actually not a good practice if you want to have any sort of resolution. I think, like, what I'm hearing from trustee Irene Monte Adams is really similar to what I said. I don't think that she wants to make the investment in rebuilding the school. I think she's open to working with the partners and stuff. I don't think that you can do that. Like, for instance, let's say you went to the county and they want to purchase for $1, you can't actually do that. Close. And also, if you want to move the where Lundy is right this moment, you still have to close this location, and then you have to reopen it at another location. This location would still need to be closed. So for me, I think that this is a procedural issue, and I think if you close the school, you really open up a lot more possibilities. And I don't think it changes where these students are going to go to school. And the reality is, a lot of these kids, they're not going to attend Lundy again because they're going to age out. A lot of them are in third grade. By the time the school is built, they will already be in the grade. So I think it's important to remember some things.
Trustee Williams, do you have anything to share?
Well, okay.
All right, do we, Trustee Wisdom Adams, do you want to come back on the queue? Is there anything else that you want to add?
That was my fault. Thank you, Madam President. I'm not sure if I agree with the comments made by my colleague, so I would be willing to amend my motion to not take any action, because I don't think that we need to close it in order to have these conversations. That's my personal opinion. And so I would just say no action. But I just want to see, no, I'm not in favor of investing in money. We've got to figure somewhere, something else out. Right? I can't spend $6 million as much as I love the kids for 30 kids. And I have overcrowding, not only in my district, but in the neighboring district. So I always got to figure something else out. And I don't know what the solution is, but I want to go there. And I want to take ownership about, we inherited some of this issue before some of us got here, and I understand that, and I appreciate the staff. But, and so, yeah, new players in this game, and I need to figure something out. So my motion is no action.
Trustee Cavazos? I just want to clarify, so can I weigh in, council can weigh in that we can make that motion of taking no action without using the terminology of tabling.
We don't need a motion for that. You guys, if neither motion passed, we sit
Okay, so then
without making any more.
right, so moot. Right. Thank you. Trustees versus Rutherford?
I would second your motion.
All right, thank you very much, colleagues. I hear that at this time. This time, I don't see any motions. Move on. So item 3.03. Thank you.
Can I ask the office in this room?
Thank you, Mr. Brooks. All right, colleagues, we're gonna move on to item 3.0. That's a notice of intent for the police solution for 381. All right, open this item. Is there anybody who's not had a chance to complete a public speaker card? It's a yellow card. We will need that in order to call on you. We do have one. One so far. All right, we're gonna keep it going. We're gonna have a presentation, colleagues. Another presentation. And then public comment and then discussion and work. Mr. Gowdy?
My apologies. Madam President, members of the board, for the record, Interim Superintendent Larson Mitchell. So we have with us this evening, Mr. Cole from Human Resources. I'm excited to introduce Stacy Smith. She's the new assistant too, in Human Resources, who's helping us as well, and Mr. Gowdy. So we are bringing changes to Regulation 4291. So at this time, I'll turn it over to Ms. Smith. Thank you.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, Interim Superintendent Dr. Brenda Larson Mitchell. My name is Stacy Smith, Assistant Human Resource Officer for the record, and I have with me today Mr. Stephen Paul, Assistant Human Resource Officer. We come to you today to provide a notice of intent related to a minor but necessary revision to regulation 4290. As you may be aware, the Senate Bill 293, the first legislative session, amended NRS 6.3, which now prohibits employers from using an applicant's prior salary and making decisions while hiring. Modifications to regulation 4291 are necessary to ensure that I'd like to direct your attention to page 2 of the agenda item. You will see regulation 4291 under section 2A1. We are recommending the removal of the language beginning at the point where it says, which will result. This is the only significant change to the regulation. Other minor changes, minor word changes. Again, this intent is for your consideration when you're having. This time I'll entertain the follow-up. Public comment? No? No?
Good evening, my name is Patrick. I'm making this clear to this board, not to include of amendments to the regulation without also in section 4 to policy employees. Myself, I am uniquely qualified to be a school district attorney. I have bachelor's and two master's degrees in education, including institutional leadership. I've been appointed by the district for almost 20 years, 10 as a teacher and almost 10 as an attorney. Between the time I left teaching in 2006 and the time that I returned to the district in 2014, I spent 8 years in private practice at the law firm in the Ball Run. Took a significant pay cut to come back with education. Since I assumed my current role, my workload and responsibilities increased exponentially year over year. I now handle the majority of school legal issues, including custody, Podca, student discipline, foster care, parent concerns, athletics, and numerous other areas. I'm also required to continually educate myself in various areas of state and federal law, district policies and regulations, and court rules and procedures. During the past 3 years alone, I've handled more than 18,500 legal issues for the proposed district. It saved the district between 600,000 and 2.5 million that it would have spent in legal fees to outside counsel. In addition to my salary benefits, and I've overseen the collection of over $200,000 in legal payments, subrogation, and garnishments. Also, during the past 3 years, I've made numerous attempts to get district administrators to have a good faith discussion with me regarding my job description, salary, job duties, and terms and conditions of employment. I've gotten nowhere in that regard. I'm still classified as an entry-level attorney with a job description that bears almost no resemblance to the work that I actually perform. As currently applied in conjunction with other district regulations, Section 4 of this regulation allows the superintendent to unilaterally hire, promote, reclassify, and or increase compensation for an at-will employee while simultaneously allowing the same superintendent to unilaterally deny a request for promotion, reclassification, or increased compensation for a similarly situated employee. We currently have 5 attorney positions with 4 different areas of the salary scale. Without appropriate direction from the board to revise Section 4 so that all similarly situated at-will employees are treated the same, the district will continue to benefit from the value that I bring to the district, and I will benefit from this. Thank you.
This time I will entertain questions. mean, I would be, but you had practice, but. Thank you. Can you come in? Thank you.
Jason Getty for the record, I'll read section 4. Placement advancement applicable to at-will administrators ineligible for participation in collective bargaining. Subsection A, an at-will employee in the Clark County School District shall be offered a salary reflective of the employee's experience, longevity, and job requirements of the position. Said placement is at the discretion of the superintendent. Section B, when the employee is promoted to an at-will position, they shall be offered a salary reflective of the employee's experience, longevity, and the job requirements of the position. Said position is at the discretion of the superintendent. Subsection C, when an employee is in an at-will position, they shall be offered a salary reflective of the employee's experience, longevity, and the job requirements of the position. Said placements at the discretion of the superintendent. The gist of this section is that it is supposed to be reflective of the duties, experience, and quality of applicant, not tied into specific components and trying to group every position and treat it the same. So I believe that the whole point of this section is to do what was described overall.
Thank you. Stop here, Jason. This one for that.
Thank you, Madam President. So, thank you, for our attorney, thank you for your comments, but when you read section 4, that's how I understood that that's what it allows. So now I'm really confused because of the way that I understand section 4 that you just read, that's what it needs to be. You know, so. So if they don't just collectively bargain because of the Apple ways, so I mean, that's what I understood, right? So when he wants to think that is that yeah.
It's getting perfect. I did not interpret this comment to that specific manner that bargain. It seemed like we wanted a little bit more rigidity on what it was, which by the way, interpret that way. I interpret more rigidity versus again an at-will position by definition is treated separately because it's not collective bargain. And again, this allows the district to be competitive as well as address different skill sets within a job classification that would allow different salary ranges to ensure that they be compensated for more expertise, more experience as well. So that's the way I read this. Thanks for that.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I don't have any other, there's something in the world. This one, thanks.
Thank you, Madam President. I will entertain a motion to accept the recommendation from staff on regulation 2291.
Because of this one. I'll second. All right, colleagues, we have a motion by trustee Adams, a second by trustee please. Thank you, colleagues. I'm going to pass it back to the room. And then move on to item 4.01, is public comment on items not listed as action. Begin with individuals who sign. That is Tom. Comfortable.
Good evening, Tom Zumbo for the record, CEO of Teachers Health Trust. I had prepared notes about how many people do it. So I want to come and give you a little bit of people. Thank you. So Wednesday we wired in $35 million. So we met our obligation. Thank you much. Thank you so much for the loan, prepayment, investing in us, and investing in the teachers, and we did it through good operational financial management and something.
in addition to that, the benefits have changed over the last year. They're 3.6%, right? That doesn't sound like a lot, it's very significant. So the actuarial value of the plan was 83%. Previously, now it's 86.6%. So that's an improvement of value. And in addition to that, there'll be no premium increases for this year. So their premium, the money that the educators have to pay will not go to this year. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom. Forgive me, colleagues, this is I did not call for yellow cards, so if anyone was not submitted. So now we'd like to provide you. The rest of you already spoke because we have those in the.
That's great news about Teachers Help Trust. I negotiated the first Teachers Help Trust and stuff because I think, oh my God, crazy. But I'm glad that they were. I wish we had an agenda item so that they could always speak to the state and public. Make nice sense to have a public agenda item more so people knew really what was done and that teachers don't make. I just want to thank you for listening to the parents and people from Outtage and thank you for your patience. I will offer myself up to whoever to work with you to figure out some solutions. But I just want to reiterate, your own department ignored the $125,000 engineering study that was done. They paid for that was out there since September, where it states in our professional opinion, the main structure to be occupied once the temporary measures of supporting the storage are completed. That was completed in September. So that school is able to be occupied and open since last year. Number one, like our library, we have more energy. Secondarily, in the I put this to your board docs, so hopefully you all got a copy of the insurance cost. You've been paid money to do work. You must be performed on a continuous basis, must be done during normal business hours, must be formed in code, and work is to be completed within 6-month construction period. You took money from the insurance company and deposited it back in the right place legally to perform all of the utilities, the septic tank, the walls, anything that was done. It's in this document. It is not $3 million. It's not $5 million. It was $1.5 million, and you were reimbursed. You did not spend it on that year. So all I ask you is go back and look at this document. Let's figure out how we have some solutions. But you have the opportunity. I think things got off track on the 10 million, 5 million, 6 million. That's not what's called for. To reopen that school, you can walk in the door right now. The utilities have been restored. The power is on. So please just take a look at that insurance documentation. Make sure that the money goes where it was allocated for. I will work with whomever, if that's what you want to put together. If you don't like me, then find somebody else. I'm fine with that. I think I can bring a pretty big crowd to voice their concerns. And thank you for your time. Thank you. Is there some President? How about Beatrice review? After Beatrice, we'll have you right out on those.
Good evening, Madam President, both parties and the superintendent. I am Beatrice and I have proudly served as a CCSD employee for the past 13 years. Throughout my tenure, I have dedicated myself as a diligent and community worker who seems to be going above and beyond in my responsibilities. Colleagues who have worked alongside me can attest to my work ethic and dedication. However, despite my efforts and those of others like me, I have witnessed a troubling trend of marginalized treatment towards hardworking employees within our district. It is disheartening to see that despite our dedication, many of us are overlooked and disregarded, while those who do not share the same commitment receive praise and preparation treatment. This disparity is a reality that I and many others have experienced firsthand. Despite myself and others raising concerns, we have often found ourselves great directors without resolution, perpetuating a cycle of frustration and disillusionment. Recently, I encountered an incident of unfair treatment with technology information system under the interim directorship of Jessica Pratt.
Despite bringing this issue to your attention, Ms. Larson Mitchell, and seeking assistance, I was directed elsewhere for assistance. I am grateful for the support I received from a knowledgeable individual who did what they could, but regrettably, my problems remain unresolved. Jessica Fry and Dr. Bowman continue to mistreat employees with impunity, knowing that the district system protects them from consequences. Having exhausted internal channels, I believe an external investigation into every employee complaint is now necessary to ensure transparency and accountability within our district. We must prioritize the protection of staff rights and address any instances of unfair treatment effectively. As board trustees, I urge you to take decisive action on this matter. The support and fairness we seek are fundamental to maintain the integrity of our educational community. Board staff like myself and others are in dire need of a stronger protections. Even our union, which we faithfully support to use, have failed to safeguard our rights effectively. In closing, I remain committed to the belief that all employees deserve respect and fair treatment. It is time for Jessica Fry, Dr. Delman, and any others responsible for such actions to be held accountable. Your attention and action in this matter will not only benefit employees like me, but will also uphold the integrity and fairness that educational community will value. Thank you for your kind consideration.
Mr. Gomez? All of them.
Mr. Lasting is reviewing.
David almost really like him, that he's a president. I'm always astonished. You guys. Oh. You know, you're gonna sell the school property. $5 million a year. Like what is current? 1 year. But we gave $1.2 million without the name. Remember that. Then we don't remember about prime 6 schools. Right? Immediately forgets that. If you don't know about it, you're really not in that. Sitting up there just playing. Prime 6 schools in 6 places. Forgot about that. They're just doing the same. I don't get it. Everybody wants to sit up there and be, I'm this educated person, I'm this smart person, I'm this intelligent person. But yet, nobody does the homework. She blamed the former superintendent for this problem. This has been going on for a long time. After the overruling chairman earlier, and we're going to close that. This has been going on for very long. But everybody doesn't do the research. I served on the exam. 8 years as a commissioner. The school district, I'm gonna cry about money. Get out there and go make money, open up businesses, help people with business, have 32 partnerships in different businesses. But I don't go up there and say, I'm losing my job. I say this or that. Stop being it. This is for any other staff as well. You know what? Do the right thing. And when you do the right thing, you will be rewarded by God, who rewards those who protect the children. You don't want to protect children? For what? I told people not to hire Jared. You didn't listen to me. I told you Arnie Duncan was coming. He showed up and booked. They listened to me. You don't know who I am. You don't know what I do. You don't think you care to. But I know how to twist people to me. Really far. And I know how to make them feel exactly what they need to feel. We're sitting here talking about different aspects of that. But you really need to do the research. Then I'm kind of pissed off that you guys just kind of threw out the SOT because I fought for it in 2014. And I fought with David Gardner, Stephen Silvercross, Michael Roberson, and Aaron Ford, the attorney general. We fought for them. You're just throwing that out the door and saying, I'm not going to listen to this. I really.
Good evening, Tiffany Beamer for the record. It's been a minute since I've spoken to the board, and I wanted to comment on a couple of things. First of all, Lundy, again, I'm going to bring up extreme cubes. The owner wants to partner with you guys, see if he'll work with you on this project to save face, be a hero, get a cube, and give these people their school. Extreme cubes. Google it. It'll be a godsend, I promise. They can actually withstand snow and elements. Portables are awful. We know how I feel about them. Second, vacancies. I'm not sure if it's a huge worry, but the 21 pages of separations at the last board meetings have been the topic of discussions in the teacher circles around the district. I haven't been at the board meetings because I was at the AP reading, so I've just been going with what they're talking about. There's a variety of hypotheses as to what's going on and what's going to happen in August, and collectively it's very scary. One topic that continues to come up is that teachers need to have a way to talk about issues they're having with administrators. Currently, teachers are evaluated annually on a rubric called NEPF, the Nevada Educated Performance Framework. Not only are our curriculum responsibilities evaluated, but our professional responsibilities as well, including student impressions, parent communication and contact, PLC participation, etc. These responsibilities make sense. We should be graded on academics and professional standards, but they're a tad subjective at times. When it comes to administration, teachers have no way of being able to handle issues with administrators aside from leaving the school. That seems counterproductive and backward. There's got to be a way to rectify this situation and to hold administrators to a rubric that includes teachers, student, and parent inputs in their evaluations as well. Site-based autonomy for administrators is already tough on teachers, with every admin following and interpreting rules in their own way. Without accountability, it's killing teacher spirit and driving them out of the classrooms. You have to do something to add a way for teachers to express concerns without repercussions and retaliation. Another thing I would like to add, leadership should think twice before making a former student an administrator at a school they attended when so many of their former teachers still teach there. Just some food for thought. Lastly, a huge big shout out and congratulations to Gina Ray on her promotion. It's about flipping time, you guys. Thank you. We move on to the upcoming meeting of the Board of Trustees. It's Thursday, the 11th, here at 5 p.m. Order. I would say city and all to adjourn, so speak with Tom. And to adjourn. I would second that motion. Thank you, Mr. Foster. Colleagues, we have a motion by Mr. Guzman and second by Mr. Chavez. Please cast your vote. Thank you, colleagues. Our motion passes 5-0. Time of 9:37. Have a great day.